change management is often thought of as a heavy, complex topic. And it is, but for the most part, people know what good change looks like and they don't need more theory. They just need more time to think about it, reflect on it, and decide for themselves what actions they need to take in order for the change to work. In this video, I share with you 3 activities that get people talking about change in a really positive way, so they can decide as a team what they need to put in place to make change work well for them. Hi, I'm Kerry Price. I'm the founder of the Facilitators Network, and I use the principles of deliberate generosity to make sure no meeting or workshop is ever wasted. I've been facilitating for 20 odd years, and in that time I've led thousands of meetings, workshops and community conversations, and now I help other trainers and facilitators do that well too. Change management is a massive topic with lots of nuance and process and deep considerations. But before you get into the theory and frameworks, it's really important to give people a chance to reflect on what they know about change and what really matters to them. So as I said in this video, we're going to dive into 3 activities that spark conversation and get people talking in a really positive way. Activity 1. This activity is called Lost in Translation. And if you have kids, you may have seen this at a party once or twice before. But children's games don't have to be cringy. They can unpack or uncover some really interesting insights on different topics. And this activity, Lost in Translation, is one of those things. So how it works is you give everyone in the group a piece of paper and a felt pen. And you invite them all to write a sentence along the top that is 7 to 9 words and has some pretty unique details in it. So for example, they might write, "The fluffy cat sat on the blue rug." Let's make it even a little more detailed, the blue square rug. Just something like that. Step 2 is they now pass the piece of paper to their left or right, you decide. And that person now needs to draw what they see. So they might draw a fluffy cat and it's sitting on a blue square rug. Interestingly, I only have a green felt pen. Doesn't have to be complicated, something like so. Step 3 is they now fold over the top so you can't see the sentence and pass that piece of paper to the next person in the team. That person now needs to look at the picture and draw what they think they see. I see a teddy bear sitting on a mat. Step 4 is, are we up to step 4? The next step, fold over the picture, pass just the sentence, and keep repeating the process. So we go sentence, picture, sentence, picture. Now you can repeat that process as many times as you like. Usually 3 or 4 is enough. And then the invitation is to compare the final sentence with the beginning sentence and just see how much difference there is. There's usually a little bit of laughter. People are astounded at how much the sentence has changed. There's often a little bit of, how did you get that wrong? My picture was so good. But that's what comes with the noticing. To bring it back to change management, I simply ask participants, what did you notice about that activity? They noticed things like we had to make assumptions about what was meant. When we didn't know what was meant, we had to fill in the gaps for ourselves. They talk about the difference between having lots of details and very vague descriptions and what that meant for communication. Then I ask, how does that relate to how we communicate when we're going through change? What's important in the way that we pass on messages to each other so that the last person in the chain has got the same message as the first person in the chain? From there, we can relate it to what change management communication looks like at work. So just to be clear, everyone gets a piece of paper and they all write their own sentence on the top. So if you've got 10 people in the room, you've got 10 sentence starters. And we see how those conversations will change as we go along. Activity 2. This is called clap, snap, stomp. And it sounds a bit cringy when I describe it, but trust me, I have done this hundreds of times over the last 20 odd years. I've done it in rooms full of 20 people and rooms full of 500 people. It always gets people laughing and it provides a really good kickstart for a conversation about change. So how it works is you need to invite people to find a partner, stand up and give themselves some space in the room. The first instruction is for the partners to work together to count to 3. So person 1 says 1, the next person says 2, the first person says 3, and then they keep going backwards and forwards. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Sounds easy enough, right? Give them just a short period of time to get into the rhythm, 30 seconds or so, and then introduce a change. So this time, instead of the first person saying 1, you're going to invite them to clap. So now it becomes 2, 3. I can't even do it for myself, much less doing it with somebody else. So clap, 2, 3, clap, 2, 3. And the invitation is for them to do it as quickly as possible. They're trying to really get through the counting without making mistakes. Now they'll make mistakes, and that's part of the fun. Give them 30 seconds or so, maybe a minute to get into the rhythm, and then introduce another change. This time, instead of clap, 2, 3, we're going to introduce a snap. So 3, 3. Sounds easy when you're doing it for yourself, but when you're going backwards and forwards, again, gets a little more confusing. 30 seconds, maybe a minute. You don't want them to get too comfortable in the rhythm before you add the third change, which is changing number 3 for a stomp of the foot. So clap, snap, stomp. Clap, snap, stomp. This is where it gets a little bit chaotic. There's lots of laughter. Encourage people to go as fast as they can, and the fact that they're making mistakes is just all part of the fun. Once you've given everybody a chance to try and get the rhythm, this is where the learning comes in. Just like I explained in activity 1, the first question I ask is, what did you notice about that activity? They often noticed that it's easy to begin with, then it gets harder, or vice versa. The first change was okay, but introducing a second or a third change gets more complex. Depending on the group, they will notice all sorts of different things. And then you simply bring it back to the conversation of change management by saying, how does this relate to the way we go about change at work? Those noticings will really sink in because they've been embedding it as they go. Activity 3. This activity is called Look Both Ways, and it's a movement type activity, just like the clap, snap, stomp, but it's a little less dramatic. And if you're in a room full of people who perhaps don't know each other so well, not quite ready to make a fool of themselves with the clapping and snapping and stomping, this is a little more subtle. So Look Both Ways works like this. In the beginning, you invite people to stand and just follow your instructions. So if you say look down, they look down, look up, they look up, look left, my left or your left, you need to decide what you're doing, left, and look right. You can shorten the instructions to just be down, up, left, right. Do that a few times, maybe 30 seconds to get people into the rhythm, and then let them know that now you would like them to do the opposite of what you say. So if you call out up, you want them to look down. If you call out left, you want them to look right, and so on. Give them 30 seconds or so to experiment with that, and then now is when you introduce the complex change. Instead of doing the opposite, which people can usually flip in their head fairly quickly, now you want it completely different. So up might mean right, and right might mean down, and down might mean left. It doesn't matter how you piece it together, as long as it's not opposite. To help them out a little bit, you might want to put those instructions on a screen or on a whiteboard, just for 20 seconds for them to read and embed in their head. but then get rid of the instructions so they have to do the thinking on their own. This ends up in all sorts of chaos as people are looking in all sorts of directions at different speeds. And again, just like the other activities, how you make this about change management is all in the reflection and the noticing. What did you notice about that activity? And how does that relate to how we do change at work? So debriefing these kind of activities is what makes them valuable. If you just do the activity and have a few laughs, you might raise the energy, but no one's learning anything new. Debriefing is important. What's also important is that at the end of the session, you make time to recap and reflect on all of the learnings that have taken place. In my next video, how to recap a training session, I share 3 activities that will help you recap and review your sessions really well. Check out the link in the description below, and I'll see you there.